If you just let go, you'll be free. Did you hear those words? I want you to do something with me. I want you to grab your hands together like this and hold them really, really tight. Hold them, hold them, hold them, hold them, hold them, hold them, and then let them go and tell me what that feels like. Do you feel the blood start rushing back? Go back again. Hold them, hold them, hold them, hold them, hold them, hold them, hold them. Let it go. Wow. That seems so simple. Unless I'm in something in my life that I think I've got to hang on to. You ever tried to hang on to something in your own life? And so when I looked at this month's theme in your lovely magazine, giant gentleness, and I was like, I don't know that I've ever even put those two words together. You know, giant gentleness, big kindness. Wow. Can you tell where we're going today? How do we be gentle giants in this world? What would that look like? How would we change what's going on, not only in our own lives, but in the lives of everyone that we were talking to, being with, if we were gentle and kind all the time? Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes I have situations where I know that you know what I mean? So, several years ago, and you've heard me talk about my experiences with Esther Hicks, in one of the trainings I went through with her, she talked a lot about the art of allowing. And that sounded really nice until I really realized what it was. You mean you're telling me that I just need to allow things to be? I don't know that I really want to allow some of these things to be, because I've been taught in my world that I have to be assertive. Sometimes I went past assertion, but to aggression. Anybody done that too? And seen the looks on people's faces when they go, what in the world's wrong with her today? Yeah. The art of allowing, Esther Hicks says, is the conscious, gentle guide of your thoughts in the general direction of what you desire. So if you know what you desire, then all you have to do is put your thoughts and your emotions in that direction. That sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? Now, what I'm going to tell you is I have taught this process to elementary students, and they're easier to get it than we adults. In my office, I used to have Esther and Jerry Hicks' emotional chart in my office, big, all different colors. And a child would come to me and they'd go, I'm mad because blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow, I'm so sorry you're feeling like that today. What would you like to feel? Well, they would immediately go over to the chart and say, I want to be happy. So I would say, what is a thought that you could think right now in this moment to be happy? Boop. And they did it, and they left, and they were like, yay, I'm fixed. I said at least for today in this moment, right? Yeah. Adults don't do that. I've counseled, coached many adults, and I will say, well, what's going on? She did this and he did that. I'm like, wow, sorry. So what would you like to feel? Well, they'll look at that chart and they'll go, well, maybe I could feel discouraged. I'm like, is that what you want to feel? What about being happy? Oh, I can't be happy. No. You get it, don't you? You have people, it's like, you don't want to be happy? Well, yeah, but I can't. I've not been happy in years. I'm like, wow. Do you hear that? I've not been happy in years. Don't you want to live with that person? Yay. Yeah. Like, I sign up for that. So, what are we allowing in our world? I'm not talking about the greater world out here. That's a whole nother conversation that we're going to talk a little bit about next week, because next week's lesson is called Taking It to the Streets. But we got to get it in here first. Because some of us, and I'm speaking to me too today, remember, I'm just up here talking to me, you all get to listen. Sometimes I take to the streets something that's not giant gentleness. Sometimes I take my big bad opinion that I think everybody else needs to be listening to. Anybody else do that too? And find eventually that people are looking at you and backing away, going, oh, I don't want to talk to that person today. Yeah. So the energy that we're talking about is cosmic. Now you're going, how does she know that? Where is she getting that? Ernest Holmes says, there is something about you and me that is cosmic. Do you know he said that? I didn't until I started researching. That it's universal, that it stretches over time and space, and let's lean into that. Wow. There's something about you and me that is cosmic, and it's universal, and let's lean into that. And what would that look like? What would that look like in your life? What would it look like in my life? Master Eckhart, who was also a mystic, as Ernest Holmes was and as Charles Fillmore was, said that through the eyes that I see God, that's the same eye that God sees me. It's one eye. Through the eye that I see the universe, it's the same eye that the universe is looking at me. Wow. It's the same. It's that oneness that we're talking about. And so there is a power greater than me in any moment that if I tune into that vibration, you get it? Tune into that vibration, then my experience is going to be different. That's the basic law of attraction. The basic law of cause and effect that Ernest Holmes talked about, that nothing happens by chance. There are causes and effects, and sometimes I'm at both places. Nobody's breathing right now. Because when you begin to really look at your life and know that you caused whatever that is, then you go, okay, so if I caused whatever this is, what do I do? How do I allow it to be different? You have to chunk down to the lowest common denominator. It's what children will do. When I say, how do you want to feel? I want to be happy. My lowest common denominator is always peace. Always. If anybody says, what do you desire, Denise? I desire peace. That's how I ended up with my house on the river. I recognized it when I saw it. When I walked in and went, oh, peace. This is my house. Even though my partner said, oh no, we can't afford it. I was like, peace. Peace. I knew it was mine because I saw it. And I felt it, and I experienced peace, and I went, this is what I've been desiring. Now, there's a lot of nice bells and whistles that go along with it, but I didn't do all that. Spirit did it. I know some of you, when she started singing that song, you were like, oh, Lord, she's going to sing Jesus, Take the Wheel, and I'm going to have to stick my head under the pew, right? Yes, I saw you go, Spirit, take the wheel. I'm struggling here in whatever's going on with me. Let go to something that's greater than me in this moment and just let it be. So, I've been reading this book that some of you probably have read a lot. Actually, John McLean, and some of you are actually in the class with me, is doing a Zoom call right now on Tuesdays and doing this book called This Thing Called You. And it's wonderful. I read it years and years ago, but I was like, he reached out to me and said, Denise, I think you might like this since you're playing with CSL people. I was like, I think I might. You're right. And so I started reading this and went, wow, this is exactly what I'm talking about on Sunday. Because one of the things that we're doing for homework for this week is looking at who is God to me. What does that mean? What does that mean? You know, I had an understanding of God years and years and years ago that God was this big old man in the sky that was going to send me to hell if I was a bad little girl. And most of the time I was a bad little girl. So I was scared most of the time. And where Gary is sitting right now was my seat for 2 years in this place. I sat there every Sunday morning and cried and cried and cried and cried and felt some gentleness in this room. And knew that there was something better than what I was believing. So I was willing to listen to something different. Do you understand that that's really all we're doing here? We're coming together as a spiritual community, and some of us have been studying it a long time. When I look and think I've been in unity, I was a unity minister, but I've been in the teachings of New Thought for 38 years. That's a long time. I should got it by now, right? I should always show up exactly the way that I say that we need to show up, but every once in a while I have a human moment. And so how do I focus on the art of allowing and this human moment? I have to have a new understanding of myself. I was never taught that I was divine. Anybody else taught that in any place other than this place here? Some of you were. I have met some people in my maneuverings through the world that said, yeah, my parents taught me that I was divine, and I was like, oh, mercy. How wonderful would that have been? I don't know what I would have been doing if that was the thought that had come with my parents to me. But when I finally began to understand that this thing that I call God or the universe or spirit, that is all a part of me also, I am in it and it is in me. My partner, Judy Blackwelder, wrote a song one time, and the words were, I am in God and God is in me. My life is God expressing. Wow. That's the whole thing. That's the whole enchilada of what we're talking about today, that I'm in God and God is in me and I'm expressing whatever that is. And so I might show up differently than you do because you're expressing it differently than I am. That's the gentleness, that's the cosmicness of it all. So many of us know these concepts. We know them, right? We know them, but we also live in this world and we live with some flawed premises. Sometimes we believe if we push hard enough against something, it will go away, right? Has it worked for you? All I find is it just gets bigger and badder and worser, and none of that is good English, but that's what it feels like inside of me. Bigger and badder and worser. It's like I have pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and it didn't disappear. And so I remember the day that Esther Hicks looked in my eyes and said, Denise, what if you just allow it to be? And I was like, oh, I don't like it. What if you just allow it to be and think a different thought? Have a different feeling. Remember my big old chart? I may bring one of those in here some morning just to try it out on you all. What would you rather feel? Oh, I'd rather be happy. I'd rather be peaceful. I'd rather be joyful. I'd rather be loving. Well, what is a thought that you could think that would give that experience to this moment? Is that not simple? It's very interesting that in this lovely little book, on page 29, if you have this lovely little book, he says, when thoughts of confusion persist in coming to the surface, statements of peace will neutralize them. You think he knew this stuff back then? When thoughts of fear assail in your life, statements of faith will counteract them. When thoughts of unhappiness well up from within, thoughts of happiness and joy will transmute them through the alchemy or the cosmicness of spirit. He's saying exactly what Esther was telling me. Would you rather feel this, or do you want to feel this down here? It's your choice. So that's the first thing. The second flawed premise I believe that some of us have is that I believe sometimes that I know what's right. And I know what you should be doing. Right? Yeah. Because if everybody would do it like this, well, the world would work better, right? Isn't that interesting? Because we just talked about the fact that I'm in God and God is in me and my life is God expressing, and my expression might be different than yours, and I think you ought to be doing it the way I'm doing it. You see how bizarre that really is when we think about that? So there's one more false premise. There's a false premise that I can run away from it all. I can just run away. If I don't like something, I can just run away. Now, that might make some of you feel uncomfortable because you may have done that in the past. I've done it in the past. I've left and gone, no, I'm not going to be here anymore. Not going to do any of this. They can all just go to the bad place because I'm not going to be here anymore. I'm not going to do any of this. Do you know that wherever you go, there you are? Have you ever heard that? My grandmother used to tell me that. When I would say, I'm never going to play with Susie again because Susie's mean to me, and I'm never, ever, 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 ever going to do that. And then she would say, and you're going to play with who? Because at her house, the options were Susie or nobody. And she would say, you know, Denise, I know you're really upset with Susie right now, but the bottom line is, wherever you go, there you are. So if you're upset with Susie, you're really upset with yourself. How did my grandmother get so smart? And so we can't run. I'm going to tell you a secret that some of you may already know, but some of you probably don't. The New Thought ministers have always had lunch or dinner together over the years. And we've always talked that I need to let you know that this person is showing up at my center now, and obviously they're not at your center now. Not to be ugly, just to give people a heads up. Because what I'm going to share with you next, you may tell me never to come back again. But if you go from one center to the next, you will eventually go back or to another center because it's you, it's not the center. Can you hear that? It's not the minister, even though we want it to be. It's not the music program, even though we want it to be. Right, Larry? It's the spiritual community that we're building. That's what it's about. And if you can hang in long enough with any spiritual community, it's going to look like this. Mm-hmm. 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 Am I knocking on anybody's doors? In fact, I had a prosperity counselor that worked with our center one time that said, because somebody said, I just want it to be even all the time. I want everybody to be happy. I want us to have all the money that we need. I want blah, 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 blah. And she said, that's flatline. Yeah, and I went, oh, we don't want that, do we? Flatline means, you ever watched hospital shows? That's not a good thing. This is what life is about. Yes. Because, John, if you don't have a little contrast, you never know what you want. Never. The way I explain that to clients is, life is like going through a buffet line. I don't eat slimy okra. If that's your favorite thing, yay for you, then you get it all, okay, when you're eating with me. Now, when I go through a buffet line, I don't have to sit and go, is it still gross? Is it still slimy? Should I try it one more time? I just go, no, thank you. Do you understand how the art of allowing works? This doesn't work. This does work, but it's all about me. It doesn't mean that okra is a bad, horrible thing that should be tossed out forever for everybody, right? It just means that that's not my choice. Can you imagine all the choices, here I'm going to step on some toes again, all the choices that everybody in this spiritual community are getting ready to have to make? Do you realize that there will be somebody that doesn't agree with what you think? Art of allowing. How do we allow all of us to come to the table with all of our ideas and do what we say we do, ask for highest and best? Well, you want to know another secret? I believe if there is any spiritual community in Nashville, and I'm being very serious, that can do it, it is this one. Because I've been around you long enough. I've watched you. I've watched you grow. I've watched you talk. I've watched you struggle. You got it going on. Look at somebody beside you and say, you got it going on. Do you realize that? So one of my favorite stories, if you ever read the magazine, was one about a peanut butter sandwich. Does anybody else remember that story in the magazine this month? Good, because I'm going to tell it to you. There was a guy who came to the lunchroom, and there was his friend there with him, and he opened up his lunch, and he said, oh, peanut butter and jelly again. And she just kind of listened, thought, interesting. So she didn't say anything else. The next day, they came back into the lunchroom, and he opened up his lunch pail again and said, peanut butter and jelly again. And she said, wow, you don't like peanut butter and jelly? He said, no, it's not my favorite. And then she went, well, okay. And so then the third day, he walks in, he opens up his lunch pail and said, oh, shoot, peanut butter and jelly again. And she said in a quiet little voice, can you not tell the person that's making your lunch to not make peanut butter and jelly again? And you want to know what he said? I'm the one who's making my lunch. You're the one that's making your life. You're the one. Not Gregory, not me, not the board. And so I'm going to do something a little bit different at the end of this. It's not a mind treatment, it's not a meditation, but I do want you to close your eyes for this because it's about letting go. I let go. I let go without a thought or a word. I just let go. I let go of the fear. I let go of the judgments. I let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around in my head. I let go of the committee of indecision. I let go of all of the right reasons, the wholly and completely the reasons without hesitation or worry. I just let go. I didn't ask anyone for advice. I didn't read a book. I didn't search the scriptures. I just let go. I let go of all the memories that I've held back. I let go of all the anxiety that kept me from moving forward. I let go of the planning and all the calculations about how to do it just right. I didn't promise to let go. I didn't journal about letting go. I didn't write a projected date in a daytimer about letting go. I didn't make a public announcement or put an ad in the paper. I didn't check the weather report or read a daily horoscope. I just let go. I didn't analyze whether I should let go or shouldn't let go. I didn't call my friends to discuss the matter. I didn't even do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. I didn't call the prayer line. I didn't utter one word. I just let go. And no one was around when it happened. And there was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked me or praised me. No one even noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, I just let go. There was no effort. There was no struggle. There wasn't good and there wasn't bad. It was what it was, and it just was that. And in the space of letting go, I just let it be. And a small smile came over my face, and a light breeze blew through my hair, and the sun and the moon shone forevermore. I just let go. And so it is. Namaste.
Welcome to the Sunday service at CSLN. We are a welcoming and inclusive community of inspired individuals caring for and about each other and the entire planetary family. The Center for Spiritual Living Nashville offers spiritual tools for anyone seeking a more fulfilled and meaningful life through a deeper connection with a higher power or universal truths. Be sure to subscribe below if you enjoy our programs.